Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to start a new topic in Python, which is list. So a list in a Python is the most versatile and the most often used data type. It is somewhat like similar to array, but as far as only the collection of elements is concerned. Array, as we all know, is the homogeneous collection of elements. For example, if I have an array of integer values, then all the values contained in that array will be of integer type. Whereas there is a subtle difference between a list and an array. Array can store only one type of element, whereas a list can store different types of element. That is, there is no restriction of the type of elements that are contained in a list. A list can be heterogeneous in nature. It can have integer, float, and strings at the same time in it. So let us see how we can create a list in Python. Talking about the creation of list. The first method with which we can create a list in Python is creating an empty list. A list in Python is enclosed in square brackets. So what we can do, we can just name a variable and make it equal to square brackets, that is empty. And if you print the list, then you will be having some empty brackets on your screen. And if you print the type of the list, you will be getting a class list. So let us see how we can create an empty list. It is very simple. Type a variable name and make it equal to square brackets. So if you want to print an empty list, you just pass the variable name in which you have actually assigned empty brackets. One more thing which you can check is the type of the list that you have created, right? So if you want to see the type, just pass the name of your list into the type function. If you run the code, then you can visualize there is an empty list created and the class of the list is list. So that is very simple. The another way to create a list is if you are aware of what elements are you want to enter in a list. So it's very simple. In the square brackets, you can put the elements, right? And as you can see on your screen, the elements are heterogeneous in nature. They are integer, float, and strings. Let us see how we can create this type of a list. It's very simple. When you know the number of elements, you can pass them directly into your list. And there is no restriction that the elements should be of same types. So at the same times, you can have integer, float, and string values together. So if you run the code, then you can see this list is being printed on the screen and the class is again a list. Another way of creating a list is if you do not know the elements of the list. That means you want the user to input the list at the runtime, right? So for that, you can actually have two methods. The first is by using the eval function, and the second one is with the help of append function that we are going to see in the later videos when we will be learning the inbuilt functions that are provided with the list, right? But here we are going to see how we can create a list with the help of eval function, right? So let us see how the eval function works. You can mention a variable name as list underscore 1 equal to eval. It is a function and you can see the change in color. You can pass input function with a prompt which says enter the list, right? And then simply you can print your list. Let us run the code and see how we actually provide the output in this. So your prompt says enter the list. Now you have to give the elements in the list at the runtime but in form of a list only, that is in the square brackets with comma separated values, and you can see that your list is being created. By the help of append function, we can also create a list at runtime. But the difference between eval and append is in that function, you can provide numbers one by one. That is, first you will be entering 10, then 20, then 30, then 40, rather than provided it in form of a list that we are going to see when we will be learning about the append function in the later sections. Another method to create a list is with the help of list constructor, right? So in this, we can create a variable and you can return the value of the list constructor to that list one, right? And you can also pass the range functions in that. Let us see how we can work with the list constructor to create a list. So here we can actually do is we can pass a list constructor over here and give it a range, that is the number that you actually want to be in the list. So I want a list of first 10 natural numbers, right? So I'm just giving a range from 1 to 11, right? And let us see what we are actually getting. So yes, we are getting a list which is having first 10 natural numbers. The last method with which we can create a list is actually not a valid method of creating list, but it is a function that is used with strings, right? So split function is used with strings, and what it does, it splits the value of the string by the splitter parameter that is provided with it, right? So here on your screen I have taken a string s with the value learning Python topic list, right? And it is separated by comma. So what I did, I just created a list L and pass s dot split, and the splitting parameter I have taken as the comma over here, and then I have printed the value of L. So what this particular L variable will consist of, it will be consisting of a list which will be having 1, 2, 3 and 4 elements that will be learning as the first one, Python second, topic third, and list as the fourth one, because they are the values separated by comma. So the string will be getting split wherever the split function will be finding a comma in it. So let us see how this can create a list. So let me take s as a string and the value are learning Python topic list. So this is the string. Take L as a parameter of which you want to make a list. Call s.split and as the value pass comma. And now you can actually print the list, that is L. Let's see what we are getting as the answer. You can see on your screen we have got learning Python topic list separated by comma as a list variable. So here what we did is we actually make use of a function, that is split function, presented with the string, and the property of that function is that it returns a list, right? So we did this with the help of split function also. So that was all with this lecture, in which we have seen how we can actually create lists in Python with different types. I hope the lecture was somehow informative. Stay tuned to my channel for more on list in Python. Thank you.